different places that you kind of quote unquote need to be. How do you sort of sort through that? How do you determine your strategy? How do you determine what's most important? What do you select?
Because your audience is just as confused.
Well, the problem you mentioned, that's a Facebook problem. And the problem you mentioned is there's all these applications now. Root Music's one of them. Damn the Radio is another one. I think Reverb Nation also has an application where you can make it so your fans have to like the page before they hear or see some of your content. So you lock some of the content. The problem is once people like the page, then the default landing page always becomes your Facebook wall. So a lot of people don't even, once they've liked it, they don't see that page anymore. That's a Facebook issue. I don't know if that's going to be worked out. But I think my advice would be you launch artist websites for each of these artists and you use these social networks to push people to those websites.
I think that's part of what Paul said early on. I mean, it was that whole notion of creating that hub with the artist site, and that way wherever you are. I mean, I think the idealized situation becomes you're sort of all these places because it's not that hard to be all these places. To say a lot of it's sort of the same content, purposed differently, and then you're driving everything back to an experience where you can kind of control it.
Yeah, we wanted to connect all the audience, put it in one spot, the merch, video, everything. Also, we want other potential listeners to be involved with other potential listeners, just sort of kind of create like its own clique. Yeah. And it's really hard if I have 5,000 Twitters and then I have like 4,000 Facebookers and they're just trying to find merch. They're trying to find when's the next show. And
but if you have 5,000 Twitter followers and you have 4,000 Facebook fans, then you kind of want all of those people coming back to your artist site.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. So I'm thinking, maybe I should just launch it off of my record company and have the artist name the record company's name / the artist. I wonder if that's...
Paul, any thoughts on, further thoughts on this?
Two different things.
I know it's confusing.
So the first thing I'd say is, if I were in your shoes, I would pick one. I'd pick something and chase that.
But that one thing, that Facebook, they don't have a link for, what's the online app, merch? Something shop. I can't think
A
of
shop
it.
tab? Commerce Social?
There's like 1,000 of them.
Yeah, there's 1,000 of them. But I can't create a wedge on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Well, so again, this is why I believe that you need to have your own destination where you can do what you want to do, and then you can't chase every single social network, right? Pick one. Like, we have lots of artists and lots of people and lots of marketers and whatever, and we still pick one or two per artist. Like, when we sit down with Hannah, we say, like, what are you into? What do you do? What do you like? What feels natural to you? And then we go after that. Like, if an artist says, well, what has worked and whatever, like, every artist is truly different. That's the whole point. And so you need to pick a social network or two social networks and just chase those. That's why Twitter and Facebook are important, because they're so freaking big. You can find almost everyone that's in this space in music looking for bands is on one of those two places. And yeah, you can't do everything on every one, but just pick one and make that your strategy, and then have a place for those people to go where you actually have more control to do what you want to do. And then on the second thing around, like, should you do it at the artist level or the label level, it depends on whether your label is going to have a voice or not. Like, Fuel by Ramen has an amazing brand, and everything is sort of under, the artists are, roll under Fuel by Ramen, but their artists sort of collectively make sense together. Atlantic has lots of different kinds of artists, so that strategy doesn't work. Like, you have to decide, are you trying to build a voice around your label of similar, whether it's similar sounding artists or similar, like, hey, these are all left of center, cool, edgy artists. And if you're not, then you need to build the artist brand. And if you're trying to build artists on top of your brand, then you actually need to figure out how to do both. And it's going to be harder, but that's what your job is as a label.
Yeah.